The explosions came in waves, calculated, surgical, targeting specific points in the mansion's structure. Not random gang violence. This was tactical warfare. Junho grabbed Chika's hand, pulling her low as they moved through the smoke-filled library. "The safe room. We need to get to—" A section of wall exploded inward. 3 men in tactical gear poured through, weapons raised. Junho fired twice, dropping the first man. The second got a shot off that splintered the bookshelf beside Chika's head. Junho put him down with a headshot. The third. The acrid smell of smoke and cordite filled the air. "How many?" Junho demanded. "At least 20, maybe more. They knew exactly where to hit us." Daejung's face was grim. Someone gave them the blueprints. The traitor. It all came back to the traitor. They moved as a unit through the mansion, Junho and Daejung providing cover while Chika stayed between them. She felt hands grabbing her, pulling her away from Junho's protective presence. "Chika!" His voice was distant, distorted. She fought, but her limbs felt disconnected, unresponsive. Strong arms hauled her backward, toward the shattered windows. She caught a glimpse of a waiting vehicle through the smoke. Then Junho was there, a force of nature, tearing through her captors with lethal precision. Bodies dropped. Blood sprayed. He fought like a man possessed, and for the first time, Chika truly saw what he was capable of. But there were too many. They made it to the underground garage where armoured vehicles waited. Daejung shoved them into an SUV, tyres screaming as they tore out of the garage into Seoul's night. Behind them, the mansion burned. Welcome back to Chika and Junho's world. If you're late to the party, you can find part 1 on our page. If you've already seen it, welcome back and sit tight for the dive. Subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The safe house was an anonymous apartment in Gangnam, designed to be invisible. Minimal furniture, no personal effects, stocked with emergency supplies. Chika immediately went to work on Junho's shoulder. The bullet had gone through, missing bone but tearing muscle. Bad, but survivable, if she could stop the bleeding. "Hold still," she ordered, her nurse training overriding everything else. She cleaned the wound with alcohol, packed it with gauze, applied pressure. Junho endured it in silence, his face pale but composed. Then he started shaking. Junho. His veins were darkening again, the black lines spreading from his wrist, responding to his weakened state. The poison was reactivating. "No," Chika breathed. "Not now. Not like this." She looked around frantically. The safe house had first aid supplies, weapons, money, but no medical equipment for a complex transfusion. Nothing that could help him. "I need a hospital," Junho gasped, his control finally breaking. "No." Daejung was adamant, weapon trained on the door. "They'll be watching every hospital. The moment we show up, we're dead." "Then I'm dead anyway," Junho said with terrible calm. Chika gripped his hand, feeling his pulse racing beneath her fingers. "You're not dying. I won't let you." But she didn't know how to save him this time. Not without proper equipment, not with limited supplies, not with the poison spreading faster than she could fight it. For the first time since that desperate night in his study, she felt truly helpless. Daejung spent the next hour coordinating with their scattered forces, assessing damage, accounting for survivors. His face grew grimmer with each report. Then he found something that changed everything. Security footage showing someone entering restricted areas. All of it pointed to one person, Daejung himself. Junho stared at the evidence, something breaking in his eyes. "No." "It's my fingerprints on the vial," Daejung said quietly. "My accounts. My access codes. I don't know how, but you've been with me since we were 15 years old." Junho's voice cracked. "You're my brother. You wouldn't— The evidence says I would." "Evidence can be faked," Chika interjected, studying the documents. "This is too obvious. Why would he leave such a clear trail?" "Because I'm guilty," Daejung said, but his eyes told a different story. Confusion, betrayal, the look of a man watching his own reputation destroyed by invisible hands. "You're not guilty," Junho said, but doubt had crept into his voice. "You can't be. You loved Ji-yeon too. You mourned her." Maybe I killed her too. Maybe everything you believe about me is a lie. The words hung in the air, poison more effective than any chemical weapon. Get out, Junho whispered. Boss, would you really throw that away on evidence that appeared too conveniently? Right after we discovered there was a traitor. Get out, Daijung, now, before I forget those 20 years and shoot you myself. Daijung left without another word. The door closed behind him with terrible finality. Junho collapsed back against the couch, his breathing laboured, his body failing. The world stopped. What? Men came to the hospital, they had guns. Your security guards tried to stop them, but there were too many. They took Emika, and they left this message for you. Her mother held up a piece of paper. Chika read the words written in English. Leave Seoul. Return to Nigeria alone. Tell no one. You have 48 hours. If you contact police or Junho's organisation, the boy dies. Come alone, or he dies. Tell anyone, he dies. We're watching. Below the message, a photo of Emika, bound and terrified but alive. No, Chika breathed. No, no, no. What do I do? Her mother sobbed. Chika, what do I do? Nothing, Mama. Don't do anything. I'll handle this. I'll get him back, I promise. The words came automatically, hollow and desperate. The call ended. Chika stared at the blank screen, her world crumbling. Behind her, Junho had heard everything. I can help. No. She turned to face him, tears streaming down her face. You're dying. You need me here to stay alive, but my brother, my baby brother. Her voice broke. I have to choose, you or him. And I'm sorry, but there's no choice at all. Chika, listen to me. We can save both. How? You can't even stand without my blood. Your organisation is in chaos. Your best fighter is either a traitor or framed and gone. And I have 48 hours to get to Nigeria alone or my brother dies. She was crying fully now, 3 years of desperation and sacrifice finally breaking through. I came here to save him. That was always the point. You are... What am I? Something I can't afford. Something I shouldn't have let myself feel. She stood, decision made. You'll survive without me now. Your body has built up resistance. Dr. Han said so. And I'm sorry I couldn't help you find your traitor. I'm sorry I couldn't... She couldn't finish. The words wouldn't come. Instead, she went to the safe house bedroom and wrote him a letter, her hands shaking so badly the words barely legible. I'm sorry. My brother is all I have left. I have to go. You'll survive without me. You're stronger than you think. Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible. Thank you for making me feel human again. I hope you find who betrayed you. I hope you find peace. But I can't stay. Forgive me. See. She left it on the table. Then, at 4:47 a.m., while he slept fitfully on the couch, she slipped out of the safe house and disappeared into Seoul's pre-dawn streets. She had 48 hours to save her brother, and she'd just walked away from the only man who'd ever truly seen her. Junho woke at dawn to find her gone. For a moment, he thought she'd just stepped out. Then he saw the letter. He read it 3 times, each word a knife to the chest. Then the symptoms hit. The black lines spread from his wrist with vicious speed, faster than ever before. His veins burned, his chest constricted. He tried to stand and collapsed, his body rejecting its own survival. No resistance, he realised with crystalline horror. No adaptation, just dependency. His body hadn't learned to survive without her. It had learned to need her. And now she was gone. He should let himself die, should accept it as just punishment for getting his sister killed, for dragging Chika into his world, for every sin he'd committed in 20 years of violence. But all he could think about was her courage, her compassion, the way she'd looked at him without fear, the way she'd kissed him like he was worth saving. Her brother, he thought through the pain. They have her brother. She's walking into a trap. He dragged himself to his phone, each movement agony, dialed with shaking fingers. Find her, he gasped when someone answered. Find Chika. Bring her back. I don't care what it takes. I don't care who has to die. Bring her back. Boss, you need medical— Find her! He collapsed, his phone clattering to the floor. The darkness was closing in, and for the first time in 5 years, Junho Kang was truly afraid. Not of dying, of losing her before he could tell her what she'd become to him. Everything. Junho's consciousness floated in and out of darkness, each breath a struggle against the poison spreading through his veins. The black lines had reached his chest now, creeping toward his heart with methodical inevitability. He'd accepted death before, had courted it even in the 5 years since Ji-yeon's murder. But now, with Chika's letter clutched in his trembling hand, dying felt like the cruelest joke fate had ever played. The door burst open. "Boss!" Dr. Han stumbled in, his medical bag nearly spilling from his arms. Behind him, Junho tried to focus through the pain. "Dae-jung?" His right-hand man looked like he'd been through a war. Blood stained his shirt, bruises mottled his face, and exhaustion carved deep lines around his eyes. But he was alive. And more importantly, he was here. "I'm not the traitor," Dae-jung said without preamble, kneeling beside the couch. "And I can prove it." Dr. Han was already working, checking Junho's vitals with shaking hands. "His blood pressure is crashing, the necrosis is accelerating. Without Chika—" "Then we find her," Dae-jung interrupted. "But first, you need to know the truth." Through waves of pain, Junho listened as Dr. Han explained his own investigation. While the mansion had been under attack, while evidence had been planted to frame Dae-jung, the nervous doctor had been conducting his own quiet inquiry. "The deposits in Dae-jung's account," Dr. Han said, pulling up bank records on his tablet. "They weren't payments. They were liquidations. He sold his car, his apartment, his mother's jewelry, everything he owned. To fund a private investigation," Dae-jung continued, his voice rough. "3 months ago I started noticing discrepancies. Small things, household expenses that didn't add up, security schedules that someone had accessed without authorization, your daily routines being logged by someone who shouldn't have that information." Junho tried to sit up, failed. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't know who to trust. If there was a mole inside the organization, they had to be high level, someone with complete access. I couldn't risk tipping them off." Dae-jung's jaw clenched. "I hired outside investigators, people with no connection to our world. I paid them to follow our own people." "And?" The word cost Junho everything. Minseo. The name hung in the air like a death sentence. Dr. Han pulled up surveillance photographs, grainy images of the head of household staff meeting with men in dark alleys, exchanging packages, speaking in urgent huddles, timestamps going back 18 months. "She's been meeting with the Chongsan gang," Dae-jung said. "Not the leadership. The remnants of a cell we thought we'd eliminated 5 years ago. The same cell that killed Ji-yeon," Junho finished, understanding flooding through him despite the pain. "There's more." Dr. Han's hands trembled as he pulled up another file. "I accessed Minseo's personal records, old employment files from before she came to work for you. Her maiden name was Lee Minseo." "Lee," Junho repeated, the significance not yet penetrating the fog of poison. "She was married briefly in her 20s. Husband died, or so the records say. But I did more digging. He didn't die. He went to prison." Dr. Han met Junho's eyes. "Lee Sang-min, your former chemist. Minseo was his wife." The world tilted. "She changed her name back to her maiden name after his arrest," Dr. Han continued. "Applied to work for you 2 years later, with falsified references we never properly verified because she came so highly recommended. She's been inside your house for 3 years, boss. Waiting, planning, watching you for any weakness she could exploit." "Sang-min died in prison last year," Dae-jung added. "Cancer, the official report said. But my investigators found something interesting. He was denied medical treatment for months despite clear symptoms. The warden claimed it was an administrative error, but it reads more like deliberate negligence. Minseo blames you. She thinks you could have gotten him better treatment, that you let him die out of spite." Junho's mind raced despite his failing body. Minseo, the woman who'd served him tea for 3 years, who'd run his household with quiet efficiency, who'd welcomed Chika into the mansion and warned her to stay invisible, who'd had complete access to his private study, his schedule, his whiskey. The Nigerian kidnapping, he gasped. Her? Her idea, Dae-jung confirmed grimly. The Cheongsan gang's resources don't extend to West Africa, but she has connections through Sang-min's old network, people who worked in biological weapons trafficking. They have contacts in Lagos. She orchestrated the whole thing to separate you from Chika, to finish what the poison started. Where is she now? We're tracking her. She knows we're coming, probably knows her cover is blown after the attack failed. But she's not running. Synthetic antibodies based on Chika's genetic profile. I've been working on it since we discovered her inherited immunity. It's not perfect. The real thing comes from generations of genetic adaptation I can keep to replicate in a lab. But it should buy you 24 hours of stability. Should? The side effects will be severe. Fever, muscle weakness, possible organ stress. And after 24 hours, the crash will be catastrophic. A battlefield measure. It could kill you even if it works. How long until I can function? 30 minutes for the antibodies to take effect. You'll be weak, but mobile. Junho held out his arm. Do it. Boss. She's walking into a trap to save her brother. You think I'm going to lie here dying while the woman who saved my life sacrifices herself? His voice gained strength, fury burning through the pain. Give me the damn injection. Dr. Han administered the synthetic antibodies with shaking hands. Junho felt liquid fire spread through his veins, fighting the poison molecule by molecule. His body convulsed once, violently, then the black lines began to recede. Not disappear, recede. Pushed back, but not defeated. Dae-jung, he said through gritted teeth. Assemble everyone, full tactical gear. I want our best shooters, our fastest drivers, and every weapon we have. Where are we going? To get her back, and to end this. She felt like she was drowning. Emeka. Just focus on Emeka. Get home. Pay the ransom. Save him. Nothing else matters. But her treacherous mind kept returning to Junho, his face when he'd kissed her, the vulnerability in his eyes when he'd talked about Ji-yeon, the way he looked at her like she was the only thing in his world worth saving. She'd left him dying. Again. Next! She stepped forward, handed her passport to the security officer. He scanned it, frowned, scanned it again. Ma'am, please step aside. Chika's heart stopped. What? Why? Just step aside, please. 4 security guards materialized from nowhere, surrounding her with professional efficiency but obvious intent. This wasn't a random check. Someone had flagged her passport. There must be a mistake. Miss Okafor. A familiar voice cut through the chaos. She turned to see Dae-jung striding through the airport like he owned it, security parting before him like water. Behind him came more men in dark suits, Junho's people, armed and alert despite the public setting. And then she saw him. Junho moved through the crowd with lethal grace, despite the pallor of his skin, despite the tightness around his eyes that spoke of pain barely contained. He was dressed in all black, looking every inch the dangerous man he was, and his eyes locked onto her with an intensity that stole her breath. You're not getting on that plane, he said, his voice carrying despite the airport noise. People were staring. I know. Junho closed the distance between them, oblivious to the weapons trained on his back, the security cameras, the hundreds of witnesses. His hand cupped her face with devastating gentleness. We're going to get him back. Together. You don't understand, the ransom... There is no ransom. It's a trap, Chika. Minseo orchestrated the entire thing. She's the traitor. Was married to Lee Sang-min, the chemist who created the poison. She's been planning revenge for 3 years. Junho pulled out a tablet showing her everything. The surveillance photos, the evidence, the documented connection to the Cheongsan gang. She never intended to let you or Emeka live. She wants you dead because you gave me hope, because you saved me when I was supposed to die. Chika's legs gave out. Junho caught her, held her against his chest as sobs racked her body. Emeka, Is alive. We have his location. Mincio is holding him at an abandoned pharmaceutical plant in Ansan. We have eyes on the building. Your brother is scared but unharmed for now. His arms tightened around her. But she's expecting you to come alone and desperate. She's not expecting me. She thinks I'm dying without you. You are dying without me. Maybe, but losing you would kill me faster. He pulled back enough to look at her, and the raw emotion in his eyes made her heart stutter. I should have trusted you about Dae-jung. You saw what I was too blind to see, that the evidence was too perfect, that someone was playing us. You were right, and I shut you out. Forgive me. The poison is being held back by synthetic antibodies Dr. Han created. I have 24 hours, maybe less, but I have enough time to do this right. His thumb brushed away her tears. I'm not letting you face this alone. We planned this together. Your medical knowledge, my tactical expertise. We know where they are, what they're planning, how many men she has. They're expecting you to come alone and afraid. Let's surprise them. Chika looked at the men surrounding them, seasoned fighters, armed and ready, their expressions grim but determined. Then back at Junho, at the man who'd been dying but had forced himself to stand anyway. For her. The synthetic antibodies, she said, her mind shifting to assessment mode. Side effects. Severe, but manageable. How manageable? Agreed. And if anything goes wrong, if it comes down to saving you or saving Emeka, you save your brother, Junho said without hesitation. No debate, no discussion. He's a child. He's innocent. If someone has to die today, it's not him. The certainty in his voice, the absolute acceptance of his own potential death, broke something open in her chest. You're not dying today, she said fiercely. Neither is my brother. We're all surviving this. Then let's go get him. The drive took 40 minutes. Chika sat in the back of the armoured SUV, wedged between Junho and Dae-jung, while the tactical team coordinated via encrypted communications. They'd changed her into tactical gear, body armour disguised under civilian clothes, a wire, an emergency beacon. She felt like she was preparing for war, because she was. The building has 3 entry points, Dae-jung explained, pulling up blueprints on a tablet. Main entrance here, service entrance on the east side, emergency exit on the west. Mincio has approximately 15 Cheongsan gang members inside, plus whatever private security she hired. They're expecting 1 woman. They're getting 30 trained operators. What about Emeka? Chika's voice was steady, but her hands shook. He's being held on the 2nd floor northwest corner. We have thermal imaging confirming 1 child-sized heat signature, conscious and mobile. She risked her life to save mine when she owed me nothing. She's under my personal protection, which means she's under yours. Anyone who lets harm come to her answers to me. Anyone who helps bring her brother home safely will be rewarded beyond measure. But more than that... He paused, and Chika felt the weight of his next words before he spoke them. She's mine. She's family. Treat her accordingly. Understood? A chorus of, "Yes, boss," crackled through the comms. Chika stared at him, something warm and terrifying blooming in her chest. In his world, that declaration was as binding as marriage. He'd just claimed her publicly, made her untouchable within his organization, elevated her from prisoner to protected. You didn't have to do that, she whispered. Yes, I did. He took her hand, threading their fingers together. You saved my life. You gave me hope when I'd forgotten what it felt like. You looked at me, really saw me, and didn't flinch. You're not just some woman I'm helping, Chika, you're... He stopped, struggling with words that had never come easily to him. Everything, he finally said. You're everything. The convoy pulled to a stop 2 blocks from the pharmaceutical plant. Through the tinted windows, Chika could see the abandoned building. 5 stories of decaying concrete and broken windows, a monument to failed business ventures and urban decay. Somewhere inside, her baby brother was terrified and alone. Ready? Junho asked. Chika checked the wire, the emergency beacon, the knife Dae-jung had given her for close combat. Her nursing training and her newfound tactical knowledge warred in her mind, creating a strange hybrid of healer and fighter. "Ready," she said. They moved out into Seoul's grey morning, and Chika prayed to her grandmother's memory, to her father's spirit, to any god who might be listening. "Please, let me save them both. Let me save everyone I love." Behind her, Junho moved with lethal purpose despite his poisoned blood, and she realised with stunning clarity, she loved him. God help her, she loved the Mafia boss with the scarred face and the broken heart, and today she was going to save him one more time. Chika walked through the main entrance alone, hands raised, just as the ransom demand had specified. The building's interior was a nightmare of decay, shattered glass crunching beneath her feet, rusted equipment looming in shadows, the smell of mold and chemicals mixing into something toxic. "Hello?" Her voice echoed through the empty lobby. "I'm here. I came alone. Just let me see my brother." Movement in the shadows. 6 men emerged, weapons drawn, faces hidden behind tactical masks. They surrounded her with professional efficiency, patting her down roughly. They found the wire immediately. "She's broadcasting," one said in accented English. "Of course she is." Minseo's voice drifted from the second-floor walkway. "She's not stupid, though apparently she's stupid enough to come." Chika looked up to see the head of household staff, except Minseo looked nothing like the stern, but occasionally kind woman who'd welcomed her to the mansion. This woman was hard, cold, dressed in tactical gear with a gun holstered at her hip. Her eyes held nothing but hatred. "Where's my brother?" "Alive. For now." Minseo descended the stairs slowly, savouring the moment. "Did you really think I'd honour the ransom? That I'd let you trade yourself for him and call it even?" "No," Chika said honestly. "I thought you'd try to kill us both. But I had to come anyway. Because he's family. Because you'd die for him." Minseo's smile was bitter. "I understand that. I would have died for Sang-min. But your precious Junho didn't care. He threw my husband in prison on suspicion alone, no trial, no mercy. And when Sang-min got sick when he begged for medical treatment, Junho let him rot. Sang-min was involved in killing his sister. He was innocent!" The scream echoed through the building. "They never proved anything. But Junho didn't need proof. He needed someone to blame, someone to punish for his own failures. 12 of his men died." "Good." Minseo's eyes glittered. "I've been planning this for 3 years. Every detail, every contingency. I knew eventually he'd have a weakness I could exploit. And then you appeared. This nobody from Nigeria with her sad story and her nursing school dropout status. You weren't supposed to save him. You were supposed to be helpless while he died. But I did save him." "Yes, you ruined everything." Minseo pulled her gun, aimed it at Chika's head. "You gave him hope. You made him human again. I watched him change because of you. Saw him soften, saw him care about something other than revenge. You were the anomaly. The doctors said it was impossible, that your blood shouldn't have worked. But it did. And it gave him something I couldn't allow him to have. A future. So you'll kill me, kill my brother, and finish what you started." "Oh, it's better than that." Minseo's smile was terrible. "I have something special planned. A modified version of the Baekje poison. Airborne, fast-acting, and much more lethal. I'm going to release it in this building, killing everyone inside. You, your brother, my own men, everyone. And when Junho comes to rescue you, because we both know he's coming, he'll breathe it in too. The synthetic antibodies Dr. Han created won't work on this version. He'll die knowing he couldn't save you. Again." Chika's blood turned to ice. "You'd kill your own people?" "They're mercenaries, paid help. They mean nothing. Sang-min meant everything." Minseo gestured, and 2 men dragged Emeka onto the walkway. "Chi-Chi!" Her brother's voice, small and terrified, broke her heart. "I'm here, baby." Through the chaos, Chika heard the distinctive crack-crack-crack of coordinated gunfire. Junho's team had arrived. "Get down!" someone screamed. Chika dropped, covering her head as the building erupted into a war zone. Minseo's men returned fire, but they were outgunned and outmaneuvered. Junho's operators moved like ghosts through the smoke, precise, lethal, unstoppable. Chika crawled toward the stairs, toward Emeka. A bullet sparked off the concrete beside her head. She kept moving. "Emeka, get down!" Her brother had the sense to flatten himself on the walkway, making himself a smaller target. The two guards who'd been holding him were engaged with Junho's men, giving Chika the opening she needed. She reached the stairs, took them two at a time, lungs burning. A hand grabbed her ankle. She kicked backward, heard a satisfying crunch, kept climbing. Then she heard it, a hissing sound like gas being released. She looked up to see Minseo at a control panel, her hand on a lever, her face twisted in triumph. "If I can't have my revenge," she screamed over the gunfire, "I'll take everyone down with me." Green gas began pouring from vents in the ceiling, the modified poison airborne and deadly. The first man to breathe it collapsed within seconds, convulsing, then another, then three more. "No!" Chika screamed. She reached Emeka, threw her body over his, using her jacket to cover his mouth and nose. "Don't breathe! Don't breathe!" But around them, men were dropping like flies. Gang members and Junho's men alike. The poison didn't discriminate. Through the chaos, she saw Junho emerge from the smoke on the ground floor, his eyes finding hers immediately. He saw the green gas, saw the bodies, and his face went white with understanding. Their eyes met across the distance, a moment of perfect, terrible clarity. "I love you," she thought desperately. "I'm sorry I didn't say it." Then Junho was moving, shouting orders. "Fall back! Everyone out! Now!" But it was too late. The poison was spreading too fast. Within minutes, everyone in the building would be dead. Unless... Chika's mind raced, her medical training colliding with everything she'd learned about the original poison. Modified version. Her blood won't work, but the principle is the same. She looked at Junho again, saw him staggering as the poison affected him despite the synthetic antibodies. Saw him still trying to reach her, still fighting despite his body failing. And suddenly, she knew. "Junho!" Her voice cut through the chaos. "Your blood! The original poison! Your body created antibodies with my help! Your blood might work on this version!" He stared at her, understanding dawning. Then, without hesitation, he pulled a knife from his belt and slashed his own palm. "Daejung!" he shouted. "Medical kit! Now!" Daejung appeared from the smoke, relatively unaffected. He'd been wearing a gas mask. He threw the kit to Junho, who caught it one-handed. "Chika!" Junho tossed the kit up to the walkway. "You know what to do!" She did. God help her, she did. With shaking hands, with her brother crying beneath her, with men dying around her, Chika Okafor did what she'd been trained to do. She opened the kit, found the equipment she needed, syringes, tubing, saline, anti-inflammatory agents. She drew blood from Junho's slashed palm as he held his hand up to her, the distance bridged by desperate necessity. She worked fast, synthesizing a crude antidote using his antibody-rich blood as the base, diluting it with saline, adding compounds to accelerate absorption. She tested it on herself first, injecting into her own arm, waiting 5 agonizing seconds. The burning in her lungs eased. The dizziness receded. It worked. "Daejung, I need every syringe you have, every needle. Move!" For the next 10 minutes, Chika became a battlefield medic. She distributed the antidote to the fallen, starting with Junho's men, then, because she was still a healer, the gang members who were young enough to have futures. Junho and Daejung helped, following her rapid-fire instructions, trusting her completely. Men who'd been dying gasped back to life. Not everyone. Some had breathed too much, were too far gone, but enough to matter. Minseo watched from her position by the control panel, her triumph curdling into horror. No, this isn't... You can't... It's over, Junho said, his voice deadly quiet. He'd made his way up to the walkway, gun drawn, his men surrounding Minseo from all sides. You failed. Again. I loved him. Minseo's composure finally cracked completely. I loved him and you took him from me. Sang-min made his choices. He wasn't innocent, Min-seo. We found proof after his death. Documents showing he'd been feeding information to the Cheongsan gang for 2 years before Ji-yeon's murder. He helped plan the attack that killed my sister. He died in prison because he was a traitor and a murderer. You're lying. I have the evidence. Dates, payments, communications. He played you, Min-seo. Used your love to hide his guilt. And when he went to prison, he never once asked about you. Never sent a single message. He let you believe in his innocence because it was useful. No! But doubt flickered across her face. The doubt of someone who built an entire crusade on a foundation of lies. But you, Junho continued, his voice harder now, you involved innocence. You threatened a child. You were willing to kill your own men just to hurt me. That's not love. That's not justice. That's just cruelty. His gun rose, aimed at her head. Chika saw his finger tighten on the trigger, saw the moment he decided to execute her. Junho, don't. He froze at her voice. Everyone did. Even the men still recovering from the poison stopped to listen. Chika stood, Emeka clinging to her side, and walked toward them. Don't become what she thinks you are. Don't let her revenge turn you into the monster she believes you to be. She tried to kill you. She tried to kill your brother. She killed 12 of my men. His voice shook with barely contained rage. She deserves to die. Maybe. Chika stopped beside him, placed her hand over his gun, gently pushing it down. But you don't deserve to be the one who kills her. You've spent 5 years destroying yourself with revenge. Don't spend another 5 haunted by this. Let the law handle it. Let justice, real justice, not revenge, take its course. The law failed me before, then let it succeed this time. Show Ji-yeon's memory that you can be better than the people who killed her. Show yourself that you can choose mercy when it matters most. Her voice dropped to a whisper only he could hear. For you. Only for you. The echo of his own words hung between them. For a long moment, Junho stood frozen, gun raised, violence and mercy warring on his face. Then, slowly, he lowered the weapon. For you, he said quietly. Only for you. Dae-jung moved forward, zip-tying Min-seo's hands with efficient brutality. She'd collapsed to her knees, broken finally, her 3-year crusade ending not in triumph but in pathetic defeat. Chika turned away from her, focused on what mattered. Chi-chi, Emeka clung to her, sobbing. Chi-chi, I was so scared. I know, baby, I know. But you're safe now, I promise. You're safe. She held him tightly, breathing in the scent of his hair, feeling his small body shake with relief. When she looked up, Junho was watching them with an expression she'd never seen before, soft, almost tender, despite the blood and the chaos and the bodies. Thank you, he mouthed. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I love you, she mouthed back. His eyes widened. Then that almost smile appeared, the one she'd worked so hard to earn, the one that transformed his scarred face into something beautiful. Police swarmed the pharmaceutical plant, their sirens painting the morning in red and blue. Junho had connections high enough to spin the narrative, a personal vendetta by a disgruntled former employee, heroic intervention by private security, cooperation with authorities to apprehend a dangerous criminal. Min-seo and the surviving gang members were arrested. Evidence was presented, showing her 3-year conspiracy. The poison, the attacks, the manipulation, all carefully documented by Dae-jung's private investigators and Junho's meticulous record-keeping. The organisation would survive this. It always did. Dr. Han confirmed what Chika had hoped. The repeated exposure to different versions of the antidote, the way Junho's body had fought and adapted to the poison multiple times, had finally created lasting immunity. His body had learned to produce its own antibodies. He no longer needed synthetic treatments. He no longer needed her blood to survive. They stood together outside the pharmaceutical plant, watching the police work, while Emeka dozed against Chika's shoulder, exhausted from his ordeal. Daijun coordinated with the authorities, his exoneration complete and public now. "You don't need me anymore," Chika said quietly. Junho looked at her, and the intensity in his eyes made her breath catch. "No, I don't need your blood, but I need you. There's a difference." "What difference?" He cupped her face with both hands, heedless of the police, the cameras, the dozens of witnesses. "Your blood kept me alive, but you made me want to live. You gave me hope. You showed me I could be more than rage and revenge. You looked at the monster everyone else feared and saw a man worth saving. You were always worth saving. Maybe, but I didn't believe it until you." His thumb brushed her cheekbone, wiping away tears she hadn't realized were falling. "I love you, Chika Okafor. I love your courage, your compassion, your stubborn refusal to give up on people. I love that you saved me twice, once from poison and once from myself. And if you'll have me, despite everything I am and everything I've done, I'd like to spend the rest of my life proving I was worth that salvation." Chika's heart hammered against her ribs. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying stay. Not because you're trapped, not because I need you to survive, but because I want you. Because I choose you. Because somewhere between that first desperate night and now, you became mine and I became yours, and I don't know how to go back to existing without you. She looked down at Amika, sleeping peacefully for the first time in days. Thought of her mother in Lagos, of the life she'd left behind, of the nursing degree she'd never finished. "It's complicated. Everything about us is complicated, but complicated doesn't mean impossible. What about Emeka, my mother, my family? I have the resources to bring them here. Get Emeka the best treatment Korea can offer, better than what's available in Lagos. Set your mother up in a house, give her financial security. Fund your return to nursing school, or medical school if you prefer. Whatever you need, whatever they need." He smiled slightly. "I'm still a mafia boss, Chika. I can make complicated things happen. And what would I be? Your kept woman? Your prisoner with a better view?" "My partner," he said simply. "My equal. The woman who saved my life and stole my heart. The person I trust most in this world. Whatever you want to be, as long as you're mine." Chika looked at him. Really looked at him. Saw past the scars and the danger to the man who played chess with her at 2 a.m. Who'd thanked her for sitting through his panic attack, who'd kissed her like she was precious, who'd risked everything to save her brother. "I love you too," she whispered. 3 weeks later. Seoul's autumn had deepened into early winter, the first snow dusting the city's hills with pristine white. The Gangnam mansion rose against the grey sky, rebuilt, reinforced, transformed. The scars of the attack remained in subtle ways. Newer stone among old reinforced windows that reflected light differently, security systems so advanced they were nearly invisible. But inside, something more profound had changed. Chika stood in the kitchen, no longer the servants' kitchen where she'd once worked, but the family kitchen on the second floor, watching her mother teach Emeka how to make jollof rice. Her brother laughed at something their mother said, his voice stronger than it had been in years, his skin glowing with health that 3 weeks of Korean medical treatment had restored. "The key is in the tomato base," her mother was saying, her English mixed with Igbo as she stirred the pot. "Your grandmother taught me this. She said good jollof rice could heal any sorrow." "Can it heal sickle cell?" Emeka asked with 12-year-old bluntness. "No, baby, but it can feed your soul while the medicine heals your body." Chika smiled, feeling tears prick her eyes. The new medications from Seoul National University Hospital were working better than anyone had dared hope. Emeka's pain crises had decreased by 70%. His energy had returned. The doctors spoke cautiously of remission, of management, of a future that looked nothing like the slow decline they'd feared in Lagos. Junho's anonymous donation to the hospital's pediatric haematology wing had been substantial enough to fund a new research program. The doctors knew exactly who'd made it possible, but respected his desire for privacy. "Chichi!" Emeka bounced over to her, his movements fluid and pain-free. "Hyung said he'd teach me taekwondo when I'm stronger. Can I learn, please?" Hyung, older brother. The first time Emeka had called Junho that, the Mafia boss had gone very still, something vulnerable flashing across his face before he'd carefully, formally accepted the title. If the doctors say it's safe, and if Hyung has time, Chika said, ruffling his hair, but right now you're helping Mama cook. Okay. He bounced back to the stove, all youthful energy and hope. Chika's mother caught her eye, smiled softly. They'd had long conversations in those first days, about what Chika had endured, about the man she'd saved, about the complicated love that had grown in this cold, beautiful house. Her mother had been skeptical at first, protective, worried about her daughter's involvement with a man like Junho Kang. Then she'd met him. Watched how he looked at Chika, seen how gently he treated Emeka, how respectfully he addressed her, how he'd quietly ensured their family's security and comfort without making it feel like charity. He's a good man, her mother had finally said. Complicated, yes. Dangerous, yes. But good where it matters. In his heart. Your father would have approved. Now her mother hummed as she cooked, content in this strange new life her daughter had built. Chika found Junho in his study that evening, surrounded by papers but not reading them. He stared out the window at Seoul's lights, his expression thoughtful. You're brooding, she said, entering without knocking. They'd moved past formalities entirely now. Thinking, he corrected, turning to face her. There's a difference. She came to him, let him pull her into his arms, rested her head against his chest. His heartbeat was strong, steady, healthy. The poison was truly gone, defeated by biology and love and stubborn refusal to surrender. What are you thinking about? He was quiet for a moment. Then, stay or go. No obligations. You're free. Chika pulled back to look at him. What? Your family is safe. Emeka is receiving treatment. Your mother is comfortable. Ivy set up accounts for all of you. Enough money that you will never struggle again. His face was carefully neutral, but she saw the fear beneath it. You don't owe me anything, Chika. If you want to go home, return to Lagos, live your life. I won't stop you. You're free. What do you want? She asked quietly. What I want doesn't matter if it's not what you want. It matters to me. What do you want, Junho? He cupped her face, his touch reverent. I want you to choose me. Not because you're trapped, not because I need you to survive, not out of gratitude or obligation. Because you want this. Because you want me, with all my complications and my history and my dangerous world. And what is this? She needed to hear him say it. Everything. His voice was rough with emotion. A life, a future. Waking up beside you every morning. Coming home to you every night. Building something real together. Something that's ours. Me, with all my complications if you'll have me. Chika felt the weight of the choice settle over her. She could return to Lagos. Resume her interrupted life. Use the financial security he'd provided to finish nursing school. Build a career. Live the safe, predictable life she'd once imagined. Or she could stay. Choose this complicated, dangerous, beautiful man. Build something unprecedented, a Nigerian nurse and a Korean mafia boss, defying every expectation. I came to Seoul desperate and alone, she said slowly. I was running from failure, from grief, from a life that felt too heavy to carry. You were dying when we met. We saved each other, but not just physically. She took his hands, held them tightly. You saved me from invisibility, from feeling like I didn't matter. You saw me when I was nobody, and you made me feel like somebody worth saving too. We healed each other in ways that had nothing to do with blood or medicine. So you'll stay? I'm enrolling in nursing school, online program, Korean and English. I'm going to finish what I started. She smiled at his expression. Yes, I know you're funding it. I protested. You insisted. You're stubborn. Practical, he corrected. Stubborn, she repeated. But I'm grateful. And I'm staying. Not as your employee, not as someone you saved, but as your partner, your equal, the woman who loves you despite all the reasons she probably shouldn't. He kissed her then, Soft, deep, perfect. When they finally broke apart, both were smiling. "Emika calls you Hyung now," she said. "That makes you family." "I noticed. It's—" He paused, searching for words. "It's terrifying and wonderful. I've never been anyone's older brother before. I failed Jiyeon. What if I fail him?" "You won't. You're different now. We both are." Over the following weeks, the changes deepened. Junho had begun the slow, careful process of legitimizing his business operations. Not abandoning his organization, that would be naive and dangerous, but shifting away from the most violent enterprises. Moving toward real estate development, technology investments, ventures that built rather than destroyed. "You asked me once if I was worth saving," he told her one night. "I want to prove you right. I want to become the man you saw in me when everyone else saw a monster." He'd started the Jiyeon Foundation in his sister S' name, a non-profit dedicated to helping children affected by gang violence, counselling, education, job training for youths trying to escape criminal life. Chika sat on the board, bringing her medical knowledge and her outsider's perspective. Dae-young had been fully exonerated and reinstated, his loyalty proven beyond doubt. He'd taken to checking on Emeka regularly, teaching the boy chess and basic self-defense, becoming the uncle the family had never expected. Even Dr. Han seemed lighter, freed from the burden of secrets and lies. He visited weekly, monitoring everyone's health, but now his visits included shared meals and actual conversation. The household staff had been carefully vetted and replaced. The new head of household was a former military officer with impeccable references and no hidden vendettas. Chika studied late into the nights, her nursing courses demanding but fulfilling. Junho would often find her asleep over her textbooks, cover her with a blanket, and work quietly beside her until morning. She helped around the house still, but as family now, not staff, cooking meals with her mother, playing with Emeka, sitting with Junho in comfortable silence while he worked. It wasn't perfect. There were still dangers, rivals who tested boundaries, old enemies who surfaced, the constant vigilance required by his world. But they faced it together. One evening, Junho took her to a room she'd never entered, his private art studio on the mansion S top floor. "You paint," she said, looking around at canvases stacked against walls, finished and unfinished works revealing a talent he'd hidden. "I used to paint with Jiyeon. After she died, I couldn't, until recently." He showed her his recent work, portraits of Seoul at night, the city he'd protected and terrorized in equal measure. Buildings and bridges rendered in careful detail, each one a love letter to a place that had shaped him. Then he showed her a sketch that made her blush, Chika herself, sleeping peacefully, captured in charcoal. "When did you draw this?" "Last week. You fell asleep reading. You looked so peaceful. I wanted to remember it." He handed her a canvas, blank, pristine white, stretched and ready. "What's this?" "Our future." He gave her a paintbrush, his eyes holding hers. "We get to paint it together, whatever you want it to be." Chika took the brush, feeling the weight of the metaphor and the promise it contained. "I want it to be real, complicated, beautiful, messy in all the best ways. Ours." "Ours," he agreed. She dipped the brush in paint, vibrant red, the colour of blood and life and love, and made the first stroke across the canvas. He added blue, the colour of Seoul's sky and her scrubs and hope. Together they painted without plan or pattern, colours bleeding into each other, creating something that was neither perfect nor predictable. But it was theirs. When they finally set down the brushes, paint-stained and laughing, Junho pulled her close and kissed her. It tasted like coming home, to a home neither of them had known they needed until they de-found it in each other. That night, lying in bed with Junho beside her and Seoul's lights painting patterns on the ceiling, Chika thought back to that desperate night 6 months ago. Her hand with the knife. His dying body. The impossible choice to try when trying seemed futile. They say blood is thicker than water, she thought, but I think it's more complicated than that. Blood had saved him. Blood had bound them. But choice, conscious, repeated, deliberate choice, had made it matter. She'd chosen to save him when she could have walked away. He'd chosen to trust her when he had every reason not to. They'd both chosen mercy when revenge would have been easier. And now, every day, they chose each other. Not because they had to, because they wanted to. "What are you thinking about?" Junho murmured, his arm tightening around her. "That I came to Seoul to save my brother, and I ended up saving myself too. That you were dying when we met, and now you're more alive than ever. That sometimes the most broken people can heal each other if they are brave enough to try. Are you happy?" She thought about Emeka's laughter, her mother's contentment, the nursing courses she was acing, the foundations work, the life she was building in this cold, beautiful city with this dangerous, beautiful man. "Yes," she said simply. "I'm happy." He kissed her temple, whispered against her skin. "So am I." If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories of love, redemption, and second chances. Drop a comment below telling me what part moved you most. Was it Chika's courage, Junho's transformation, or the way two broken people healed each other? I love hearing from you. And stay tuned, because next week's story will blow your mind even more. Until then, remember, sometimes the people who save us are the ones we never expected to meet. Peace and love.